9.5 times out of 10, when I do my Bleach reviews, they are not premeditated. I always go into them live, raw, uncut, live and direct, and live action, straight from the heart, mind, and soul. But this Bleach chapter 577 was just so short, I had to actually sit here and think like, okay, how can I make this review a lengthy one? Because other reviewers, they like to push out those shorter reviews, and not me. I'm not known for that. I mean, I remember doing the survey, people were saying, hey, we want you to do the long reviews, not the short reviews. So, but sometimes it's just inevitable. If a chapter is short, then of course a review will be short. So I apologize if I disappoint in this review, but that's not my main objective, to disappoint, never that. So let's get into this. This is me, Captain Vazquez. We live action. You already know what it is. Now with this chapter, we all seen what happened. Like I said, it was very short. The meteor was still coming towards the Serite. Everyone is looking up, panicking, and just running about. You see a group of Soul Reapers there, still calm and chill because they know the protective barrier over the Serite would destroy the meteor, but we see it starts to break through. Hashwolf, he's telling these other Quincy grunts, protect his majesty. We see Juhai, he's standing on a ledge and he's looking up at the meteor, and we got to the point where Yachiru, she's looking up at Kenpachi after he takes off to destroy the meteor after Grimmy says this dialogue, and she has to flashback. But the dialogue, Grimmy goes on to say, he says it again, if you destroy me, even if you kill me, in the clone, it's like, hey, the meteor is still gonna fall. But he basically was letting them know, all in all, he's gonna be the one to survive if that meteor hits. So then we see Kenpachi. My boy Kenpachi, when he goes up in the air, he says his command release. He says, swallow Nozarashi. Now, when I first seen that command release, I did not expect it to be swallow. Now, of course, I'm not having my mind in the gutter, but I wasn't feeling that command release, nah. Unless his Zanpakuto spirit is actually female, and his command release to her is here. Swallow. But we all know his Zanpakuto is male. Yes, how do I know? Kenpachi said on 2 occasions he said it twice. So yes, his Zanpakuto spirit is male. But I read another translation where he said drink. I read another one where he said gulp. So I'm like, damn, which one is the command release? Is it gulp, drink, or swallow? Which one? Anyway, he destroys the meteor. And when he lands down, of course, the best panel throughout the whole chapter was the last panel. You already know the panel I'm talking about. My boy Kenpachi's Rocky looking sweet as hell, holding his true form of his Zanpakuto. And it looks like this big-ass, giant, Dark Souls, Monster Hunter size, Nightmare Siegfried weapon that he's just holding over his shoulder. I mean, they call this sword, this chapter title. No, this thing looks way bigger than any type of sword. It looks like just a big-ass meat cleaver. I do like the design of it. I'm very pleased with it. It fits Kenpachi's character very well. I just real good. I'm pleased with it. Years and years of wondering what it looked like, and we see this is what it is. But let me back it up a little bit. One thing I was confused about, last time I checked, Kenpachi held up his Zanpakuto, just like Ichigo. He told him, like, look, this is the true state of my Zanpakuto. It's in a constant release state, Kenpachi's Rocky has so much Ryatsu he can't, control it. He can't hone in on it to seal his Zanpakuto. Same thing with Ichigo. And yet, for years, we were all thinking this is the true form of his Zanpakuto. Hell, that's what Kenpachi thought. But we got to see, this isn't the case. We see now what's on his shoulder is his true form of the Zanpakuto. So, clearly, this is not his sealed Zanpakuto, because if it was sealed, it would just look like a regular katana. But with him, I guess, being so strong, it has it in a sort of pre-state release, of the true form. Like, this is the halfway true form of the release. That's what I'm getting out of this, because I'm thinking, like, wait a minute, so it transformed again. But Kenpachi, it's not like he went through some super training like what Rukia and Renji and Byakuya did with Squad Zero. But he did learn the name of the Zanpakuto, and I guess that gave him access to the true form. Now with Ichigo, you could say this is the same case, but it wasn't so much of a shock with Ichigo because it was clear as day. We all knew for the longest Ichigo was never at full power, so we knew his Zanpakutos, even with his upgrades and transformations, he was still never at full power. So we never seen Ichigo's true form of his Zanpakuto until, chapters and chapters ago, how we seen that he's a dual wielder now. Another thing, the flashback they show with Ichiru, you know, at first I'm thinking like, okay, what was the significance of showing this? But maybe she was just thinking like, damn, when he went up to call the name, she was just thinking back like, man, I remember when I first met Kenpachi and I seen that Zanpakuto. I remember when I first touched it, you know, and now I'm finally knowing the name of it. Like, man, all these years, Kenny never knew the name. Now he's going up to the sky, shouting the name, and I'm here witnessing it. You can think of it that way, or you can think of it as the nameless Trinity. In that flashback panel, you see 3 individuals just nameless. You have Kenpachi. At that point, he didn't have no name. Ichiru didn't have no name. Technically, you could say Zanpakuto had a name, but since it was not known, you can, if you want to call it the nameless Zanpakuto, you can look at it that way. What else? It's crazy how Juha, I wish they would have touched more on, like, I wish Kubo would have touched more on his reactions. It's like he just was looking up like, well, unless he had a backup plan for it. I mean, hell, after all, Juha gave Grimmy, you know, those powers, so I guess he had a countermeasure for it. When Juha told those grunts to protect Juha, I'm thinking, okay, what are they gonna do? Shield him, you know, pile up on him. I mean, it was nothing they could. Everyone's gonna be SOL. But yeah, with this chapter, unfortunately, like I said, there was no other fights, no other characters were revealed. But then again, to be honest, we all knew what was to be expected. This whole chapter, the highlight of the anticipation, us readers of Bleach, us Bleach fans, especially us Kenpachi Jiraiya fans, we were only looking for one thing and one thing only: the look and the name and command release of Kenpachi Jiraiya Zanpakuto. And that's what we got. But it seemed like that was the only good main thing about the chapter. Now, one thing I always say, you know, reserve your judgment, because you know the style of Kubo. And I'm pretty sure there's probably other reviewers out there that's probably really bashing the hell out of this chapter. And this is the thing. I already know what they're probably saying. You know, they're like, okay, he just jumped up in the air and it blew up. What did he do? We don't know what it did. I mean, we didn't get an explanation. This chapter was garbage. But like I said, reserve your judgment, because next chapter, next week, we're probably going to get an explanation. I mean, it's probably going to be the typical shonen dialogue. Kenpachi's going to land down, say something like, good job, or huh. It seems like I didn't cut through almost anything now at this point. And that's when Grimmy is going to look shocked and say, how? How did you do it? And Kenpachi is going to give him an answer. Well, my Zanpakuto does this, and he's going to explain. That's how we're going to get the explanation. Because I doubt Kubo is going to do an Unohana with Kenpachi. What I mean by that, how Unohana revealed her Bunkai, and we didn't get an explanation. I doubt Kubo is going to do this with Kenpachi. I even revealed his Shikai and not give an explanation. But for this, a lot of people saying for this to be a weather type, they were guessing it might be weather type. I don't know, with the way it looked, I don't know. It may just be a straight up power type, like Ikaku or Renji, and that just may fit Kenpachi perfectly. I mean, you have to realize this is like your alter ego / persona manifestation of yourself. Like your Zanpakuto, it comes from you within the personality, so it has the ability, it has to fit you, your personality, your characteristics as a person, so or soul. You know, so that's my whole thing about it. I know next week we will get an explanation of it. I'm expecting next week's chapter to be better than this week's chapter. It just, when I was done, I actually thought like, wait, was that it? I'm actually going back thinking, did I miss pages? Or it was just so many, like, to be honest, the way this chapter could have been done, all that running around and people looking up and staring, that could have been cut down in half. It really could have. And Kenpachi could have cut down a meteor, or did whatever he did with the meteor, land, give an explanation, and then maybe give it to be continued. Or maybe Grimmy would be like, okay, you've got through all my tricks, let me go to final holy form and then to be continued. Maybe could have did that, but that wasn't the case. So like I said, the only highlight of this chapter, I'm sorry, was Kenpachi really, you know, us seeing his true form of his Zanpakuto. But I was pleased with the look. But like I said, this feel like a short review. That's all I got today, elites. See you all next week. Thanks for watching. Me, Captain Vaz, signing out.